Jena, it's so lovely to have you join me here today. We're here to have a chat about what will means to you and I guess within psychosynthesis. So perhaps you'd like to share a little bit about where you are in your journey with understanding this unique proposition that Assagioli brought.
Well, thank you, Kim. Wow. Okay, so the will. I've been thinking about this, and obviously leading up to our conversation today, and it's such a massive, massive thing, isn't it? So central to psychosynthesis. This idea of the will, of this force, this energy, this kind of agent for change, you could say. There's this energy in us. And I think I've been trying to, it's a very difficult thing to try and talk about. I keep going back to Assagioli's summary and where he comes up from. Is that, it's a really difficult thing to get your head around intellectually. He talks about that the way to understand the will is to have an experience of the will. So trying to think about it intellectually has been quite challenging, I guess.
Well, maybe I can simplify it. So other psychologies talk about motivation.
Yes.
And what would you regard the difference between motivation and will?
Well, that's interesting. I think motivation and will do have they are in some ways the same, but I think what psychosynthesis does is we look at the will at all these different levels. So we think about maybe the motivations of a subpersonality, which is all set up around survival. And when we're identified with our survival personality, our will is hijacked or caught in that subpersonality. So it's contained within that, so that we can only make choices within that, the awareness of that one part of us. But the other thing that psychosynthesis brings is this idea of disidentification. So the more we can disidentify, the more we can free the will from our, say, the parts of us and start to align it with something greater. So of course we talk about the self in psychosynthesis, who we are essentially. And I think as we free the will from the sort of confines of the personality, we're able to start to align it with something bigger, something more transpersonal. So not just about us, not just about our own lives, but so coming into service of something greater.
And then there's this, this is a hard one to do in a minute. Then there's this concept which you're starting to touch on of universal will.
Yeah.
Something much greater than who we are. Have you got a minute that you can speak to that about?
Yeah, and for me, thinking about and talking about the universal will is hugely important. And I think without it, I think we lose our context, the psychosynthetic context, because really what the universal will is about the mystery. It's about the divine or the cosmic, I guess. And it's like, it's the unfolding at the level of the universe. Yeah, and we don't really know what that is or what that means. But I think we can. Assagioli talks about tuning into it, being able to, and then when you tune into the will at that level, it's like then everything you do becomes meaningful. And I think that's what makes our lives start to feel meaningful. He's got this amazing quote. Can I read it? Because I think what it does is it really explains what the universal will, how he sees it. He says, universal life itself appears to us as a struggle between multiplicity and unity, a labor and an aspiration towards union. We seem to sense that, whether we conceive it as a divine being or cosmic energy, the spirit working upon and within all creation is shaping it into order, harmony, and beauty, uniting all beings with each other through links of love, achieving slowly and silently, but powerfully and irresistibly, the supreme synthesis.
That just kind of ricochets me out of my seat.
It's amazing, isn't it? And I think for me, like what that brings me is into the world as it is right now. And I think what we're sitting with in our world is a whole lot of unraveling. We've got climate breakdown, we've got the acidifications of the oceans, we've got the loss of biodiversity, the sixth mass extinction. We've just been talking about the collapse of the Gulf Stream. There's all this horrendous stuff going on, mass migration. And so we can think about this in terms of like an unraveling of our systems and everything that we know of. And it's very easy, I think, to get caught in that and to feel like there's an inevitability about that. And it leads to nihilism and hopelessness and powerlessness, and it's of no use to anyone. And I think what Assagioli's talking about there is that there's also another energy happening at the same time. And, Jena Wrigley talks about the great turning, and that this is where the will comes in, is that if we're able to understand that there's these two polarized energies, unraveling, and you could say, this unity, move towards unity and greater complexity, if we're able to understand that and not be caught in it, so to step back, to disidentify, then maybe what we're able to do is we're able to choose what we align ourselves with. Yeah, so I could align myself with the unraveling and just feel anxious and awful all the time. And it's not about denying that that's true, because we need to be open to that, because we need to understand, when a creature goes extinct, the pain and the grief that I can feel about that is part of my motivation to align myself with something else, with something more hopeful, and start to imagine into the possibilities of what life could look like and what our world could look like. And then everything we do from that place again becomes meaningful. So, I bring that into my teaching, I bring that into my being a mother, and I've got 2 kids, and everything is about that now. Well, ideally, of course, I get caught in the anxiety as well, but ideally it's coming back to, okay, I have a choice here. What do I align myself with?
Brilliant. So kind of wrapping up and thinking into this is a complex psychosynthesis subject. And if you only, I think what you're saying is, if you only think about it in terms of the urge of a subpersonality, it becomes quite flat. Whereas what you're speaking about, the brings in the mystery, the multi-layered, and a huge energetic unfoldment.
Absolutely. I mean, I can feel it now when we're talking about it. I can feel it in my body, and I think the will is a very embodied experience. We feel it in our bodies. It's exciting.
Thank you. Is there anything final that you'd like to say?
I think something that I think is really important is it's like, if we believe ourselves to be separate and to be disconnected from everything else, and outside of nature, you could say, like separate from nature, and then therefore our will is all about just survival. But if we start to really feel into this idea, or maybe this truth, that we are deeply interconnected, that there is this deeply interconnected web of life, if you like, that we are part of, and therefore we are in service of, that everything we do has an impact on that, then that also helps to really engage our will. And I think that's really realizing that we are part of nature.
And then that means I am responsible, but in a different way.
Exactly. Yeah, good. I like that. Yeah, it's about responsibility, isn't it? It's almost like a moral imperative to do the work on ourselves, and also to take it out into the world in whatever way that means. I like to think of counselling, psychotherapy as acts of activism, the ways of raising consciousness.
Awesome. We could continue on for a lot longer. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Kim.
Okay, Jena. Bye.